Okay, fine. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there was one question regarding how to distinguish between 1D, 2D, 3D. Yeah. So, okay. So it's very easy basically. How you depends on the variables. Okay. So 1D, for example, when you say 1D will have as you will have definition in X only, means domain. You are talking about the domain. Yeah, your domain is linear domain like this one. You will have some X only, which is varying like that, and all your means only one independent variable. Yeah, 2D will have XY. Yeah, so domain will be have XY. So it will be like this one. You have X like this one, your Y like this one, and then you have some dependent variable. For example, temperature will depend on X and Y both. So temperature will, here it will be different, here it will be different, different and different. In 1D, you will have a bar like this one. Yeah, so temperature will vary along X. So here it will be Tx. You know, depending on the value of X here, you will have the value of temperature. Yeah. Similarly, if you go this here, say X is different, temperature will be different. But here, your domain itself is 1D only. There is no Y. Yeah. So here, no Y or Z. Right. So this is a 1D. 2D has both X and Y. So your temperature will vary with X and Y, meaning that it will be different here, different here, different here, different here. Yeah, depending on X, Y, it will be different. And similarly, 3D will depend on the domain will have these coordinates. Yeah, so in that case, you will have, let us say, you have a one object which is 3D, something like this one. You have X, Y, let us say Z, this direction. Accordingly, you will have different points depending on X, Y, Z. You have different temperature. So this is how they are different. Yeah. So 1D, 2D, 3D are different. Got it?
Yes, sir. But suppose that if of one bar, okay, and we
Okay.
are applying the axial load and twisting, both we are applying. So that
Okay.
condition is 2D or 1D?
Okay. So let's see that example, right? So let's say you have a bar like this one, yeah, and you are fixing like this. You are applying load here, then you are twisting as well. T is the, let us say, torque you are applying. If you are applying like this one, yeah. Now, if you take problem separately, that becomes 1D. Yeah, so it's a 1D problem only. Problem is 1D only. Why? Because depends on X only, right? Everything, I mean, it is only thing that varies here is X. Domain is X only, right? There is no other things coming into picture. Forces are, if you see here, that there is one force, there is one force here, there is one torque here. But actually, what you are doing is, this is a combination of two 1D problems, right? So this is equal to this plus this. Okay. So this is one problem, this is another problem. You are combining them together to get it. But what happens here is your degree of freedom per node is changed now. Okay. How? See here. There is something called degree of freedom. Degree of freedom is, in this case, you have 2 degrees of freedom. Which one? If there are 2 forces here, one is X direction, one is angular direction, hence degree of freedom will also be 2, right? One should be U in this direction, then there will be theta accordingly, right? So let's write it. So you will have U in the X direction, and then you will have a theta in this direction. So 2 degrees of freedom. 1D only, your problem is 1D, but you have 2 degree of freedom. Means every point you have 2 variables, dependent variables now. Got it? So this problem is equal to this problem plus this problem. This is a 1D problem. This is also 1D problem. It has 1 degree of freedom. This has 1 degree of freedom. You combine them together, you get 2 degree of freedom, and both are independent to each other. Actually, they have no bearing on each other, right? You can problem one of the problem to find out what the u is. You can solve the other problem to find out what the theta is. Got it? Yeah. So this will be, we will call it this will be 1D problem only, but 2 degree of freedom per node. So let's write it. So basically, this tells you 1D problem with 2 degree of freedom per node. Is okay? Do you have any, I mean, did I answer your question or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any other?
Sir, I also have a question regarding this cantilever.
Yeah. Okay. Cantilever.
Yeah,
These are not a cantilever though. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
kind of, sir. Means, sir, that same. If I connect a spring at the end of that cantilever without load, then what should I do? I should consider one more element, or just apply some kind of just change the boundary condition.
So you are saying there is a bar here and then there is a spring here, right?
And spring is fixed.
A spring is also fixed. A bar is also fixed.
Yes, sir.
Like this.
And I am applying a load at the center of the bar, axial load at the center of the bar.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Bar, sir. Bar.
It doesn't matter. Right? You are applying at the joint, no? So it's okay. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Then, my question is, sir, I should just change the boundary condition at the end, or I should also consider the spring in the elements?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So how will you solve the problem? That you are saying, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Nice. Nice. So okay. So first, what are you going to do? You are going to number it. 1.
Okay,
2,
sir.
3. You start with numbering. I have not taught the bar yet, but I think next lecture we will be talking about this one. Okay.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is replace this with a spring. Okay. And actually, what you have to do also. Okay. So I think if you are asking this question, if you know the solution of this, you will automatically do this one. Okay, there is no difference between a spring and bar. Okay, why? Again, this question.
Yes, sir. Depend on the deflection in the bar.
Yeah, so the K will be equal to EA over L.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We will come back to it. Okay, so those who can't relate to this one, okay, don't worry. In the next class we will have. But what I want to stress here is this bar and this spring both are same. There is no difference at all. So it has and this K spring constant equal to EA over L, where E is the Young's modulus of material of this bar, A is the area of cross section of the bar, and L is the length of the bar from here to here. Okay, so you like. Okay, now given this kind of system, how to solve it? So let's call this one is K1 and this is K2, and given like this one. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, if that is the case, we have 1 here, then we have a 2, and then we have 3 here, right? Okay. So now what are you going to do? You will find out what is the distribution matrix for this one, and
yes, sir.
You get K1 minus K1 minus K1 K1. For this one you will get K2 minus K2 minus K2 and K2. Now you have to see the degree of freedom, right? So here you have 1 and 2. You have 1 and 2 here, and here you will have 2 and 3, right? You will have 2 and 3.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So what K you will get in that case will be equal to, let's go to the next page. You will get K equal to K1 minus K1 0 minus K1 K1 plus K2 minus K2 0 minus K2 K2, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and U, big U vector, you will get, see here, you have U1 equal to 0, U2 you don't know, and U3 equal to 0, right? So accordingly you will write here. So your U will be 0, U2, 0. Yeah?
Yes.
And the force will be equal to, see here, you don't know what is the force here, so let's call it F1. Here F2 equal to F, and F3 we don't know.
Yes,
Right? So currently we write. So we will write F1, F, then F2. So this is the equation you have, right? Now they are going to write it. Means write how? This multiplied by this equal to this. That's what we will write, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and finally, what will you go? This here it is 0. This is also 0. That means this 0 is going to be multiplied by this and this and this. Right? Similarly, this 0 is going to multiply by this, and this. And anyway, F is known, but F1 is not known, F2 is not known. So we want to just have the one for which F is known. So that means row 1 we don't want, row 3 we don't want. So what you have, and for the row 2, this term becomes 0 because there is a 0 here. This term also becomes 0 because 0 is multiplied here. Hence what you have simply is K1 plus K2 multiplied by U2 equal to F, and you get U2 equal to F over K1 plus K2 simply. This is the answer. Yeah, and it makes sense. It makes sense because now that really means whatever your problem is basically you can also do like this. So you have a bar here, and then you have a spring here, and then you have a force here, as if both of them are in parallel. Right?
Yes.
So you have,
Yes.
yeah, so you have K1 here, K2 here, like this one. See, it looks like a series, but since both the ends are fixed, so this becomes like a actually it is in parallel configuration.
Yes.
And hence you will have K1 plus K2 divided by F equal to U2. So hence you are getting like this. This is what it tells you. Yeah, got it?
Yes, sir. Sir, in this slide, sir,
Yeah.
Number of question I solved, I always observe that global stiffness matrix always comes to be a symmetric matrix.
Yeah. It will be symmetric. That's true.
It is a necessary condition, sir. It should be symmetric.
Yeah. Yes. It should be. It's necessary.
Okay, sir.
It is necessary. Okay. It's necessary, and we will see why. Later on, we will see it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Yes.
So the determinant of this equal to 0. It has a physical meaning. Let me give you some hint. Okay. So it has some physical meaning as well. So let's look at that. So let's say that there is a spring here, and you have U1 here, U2 here, and you have K here, right? So the stiffness matrix, here is F1, this is F2. You can write equation as K minus K minus K, K, and multiplied by U1, U2, and then F1, F2, right? Okay. Now what happens is, is there are many solutions to that, meaning that let us say I can simply, one of the solutions will be just the rigid body movement, right? So what is the meaning is, Saurabh, could you please mute yourself? Yeah, so I hear my own echo. Okay, so what happens is one of the solutions will be just a rigid body movement. For example, if we have u1 equal to 5 and u2 equal to 5, we solve the problem. Yeah, this will also a solution here. You can put it here, you can find out. That can be a solution. Yeah, so that really means basically this you have to constrain one of them. It is as good as saying that you have a spring here, yeah, and then you have moved from here to here, like this one. Yeah. So basically, it's possible that it's not if u1 is 5, u2 will be 5 plus something. So it's not exactly 5. Say 5 plus some value. Okay, let's see. I show you one example. So let us say you have a force here. Let us say force is 2. Okay, and k is 1. Okay, so u will be equal to f over k, and this is 2 over 1 equal to 2. Okay, so solution is 2, right? Means one of the solutions is u1 equal to 0, u2 equal to 2 is the solution. Now, if we add the same thing with the thing, like let's take u1 equal to 3 and u1 equal to 4. Yeah, 3 to 5, sorry. So 5. Yeah, this will also solve the problem. Which problem? This problem. K minus k minus k multiplied by u1 and u2 equal to here you have 0, 2. But I'm sorry. Here we have f1 and then this one will be 5. Okay. So you can see that. So how? Let us say here we have take the second one. u2 equal to 5. Yeah. So to take the second one. So we have minus k is we have 1, k equal to 1. So basically here k equal to 1. So write where k equal to 1. Okay, now let's do like this. This multiplied by this, right? So we have minus 1 multiplied by u1 is 3 plus 5 multiplied by 1, right? Should be equal to, sorry, it should not be 5. We have 2, no? Force is equal to 2. So it should be 2 here. 2 here, right? Our force was 2, so I'm writing 2 here. Okay. So what we get equal to 2. Meaning that what we get? Minus 3 plus 5 equal to 2. We got the solution. Means even if you put u1 equal to 3 and u2 equal to 5, you are getting the force, that's required force. That really means that is a solution. This is also a solution. Okay, what is the meaning of that? Meaning of that is if your solution is if your solution for this one is for some value u1 and u2, if you add a constant term, this will also be a solution. If u1, u2 are solutions, u1 plus c and u2 plus c is also solution if there is a thing here, if we don't constrain one of u1 and u2. Okay, that really means it's important that you apply a boundary condition. Apply a boundary condition. Actually, it's called necessary boundary condition. Necessary boundary condition means you have to, wherever you have a spring here, if it is free floating like this one, then it will have infinite solutions, lot of solutions. If you have a force applied like this one, you know, so then displacements are infinite. There are a lot of solutions basically, right? So in order to find the unique solution, you will have to constrain one of them, and hence then only you are going to find the unique solutions. Yeah. So that really means what? If you see the your Stevens matrix, if you see in this case it was 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. If you take the determinant of that, what do you get? You get 1 minus 1 equal to 0. Determinant is 0. So basically, can you invert? You cannot invert. Yeah. You cannot invert means what? Either there is no solution, there is some problem with that, right? So you cannot find the unique solution. That really means, yeah. If there is a this happens when this also called, this is the matrix is not positive definite, right? So you call matrix not invertible, yeah, or a matrix not positive definite. Yeah, or you can say many solutions. That really means, yeah. So positive definite, what you see here is a square matrix, and which is basically determinant is 0. So all these things points to the matrix has to be symmetric. Yeah. So this is a square to begin with, right? So K is a square matrix. Determinant of K is equal to 0. This may suggest K is symmetric. Okay. Got it? A long answer to your question, but we will see more later on. Okay, so as we progress, we will see more. Yeah, but still you asked, so given the background so far, this is what I can do. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Sir, about the sign convention, the forces inside the node and outside, could you do some more explanations?
Okay. Okay. Sign convention, when you say always take force as positive in this direction, in positive x direction. Okay, so this is positive. This is positive only. Okay, so for you, basically, let us say we have complicated a spring system. Yeah, could be something like this one. Yeah, K1, K2, K3, K4, K5, all of them. Yeah, okay, now this is a node here, so this is a combined node here. Let's call it 1. Like this is 1, this called 2, this is 3, this is 4. Okay, so your force vector is always F1, F2, F3, F4, like this. If a force is applied in this direction, let us say 5, you will just write, this is positive direction, right? This is positive direction. You will just write 5 there, that's it. So F1, F2, you write 5 here. Yeah, F3, if you have backward, if this is a 9 newtons, let us say, you will write -9 here. And 4, if let us say some value, nothing is given, f equal to 0, you can write 0 here, like this. That's it. Meaning the right side is positive. Then you have applied the force. Okay, but while explaining, we also looked at the tension and all those things. So remember, there are 2 types of things. Both have different things. One thing we are calling it tension, talking about the whole element. Tension is property of the whole domain. Means tension inside a string, right? Tension inside is not a point property. You cannot say tension, there is a tension at this point. It's not like that. It's a tension in one element. Tension in the rope, you say, right? So there is a tension in a spring. That really means force this side is going like this, force this side is going like this. You call it tension here. And this tension is positive. And if you have force like this one, is called compression. Compression. And this is taken as negative. This is like normal force. This is normal force sign convention. Normal force N, this is a different thing. This is, I'm talking about the N. When I tell you, ask the stress, you will say sigma equal to N over A. And if it is tension, you get positive tension. If you get a negative, this is a compression. So a stress, this is in the sense of a stress. Whenever you say tensile force and all those things, you are talking about a stress, sense of a stress. A stress has this kind of thing. So even if let us say there is a bar here, and if force F applied here, force F applied here, although at both the ends, forces are in different direction, but stress are the same. Stress is positive only. You follow? Here force is negative direction, force is positive direction, but together they make tensile force. And because of that, sigma is positive. You follow? So sigma has different meaning because sigma is the property, different kind of property. So it's not the force. Sigma has different meaning. Sigma, when you say sigma, sigma is equal to E times a strain, and you know a strain means how much length has increased, right? So here, if there is a tension, then length will increase, and hence here it has to do with the change in the length, not the force, basically, right? You got it? If you say equal to F over A, you are not talking about this F though. You are talking about the normal force. What is the force inside it? That we are talking about. tensile force, so tension. We are talking about the tension. I would say we are talking about the tension. Tension has different meaning. Your force has, nodal force has different meaning. Yeah. But for you, basically, you don't have to worry about that. You have to just worry about the how to write. When you write a negative, when you positive, you say in positive x direction, you write positive. You see negative x direction, you write negative. That's it. Yeah. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other question, guys?
Sir, like you explained in this context, I would like to ask our stiffness matrix as we have calculated, it will remain same whatever the force, like you have taken the force as a positive in the positive direction in your videos. So if the direction is reversed, we will simply just reverse that. We will
Yeah,
took
exactly.
negative
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the stiffness will remain the same.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? So remember, guys, the positive negative all depends on the physical property. Yeah. So physics is important. What we are talking about, from where it is coming, we will see later on. I will take some example also later on. In which there's a heat transfer, let us say, or let us say that you have a, maybe I will take some electrical engineering example as well. This resistance R, and then you have V1 and V2. So then we have to take different kind of sign convention. We have to see basically what is the meaning of I, right? So you know that I will be equal to V1 minus V2 over R, right? And from here, if you have a number of resistance together, let us say it's something like this one, and you have a current flowing from here, here, and here like this one. Yeah. And then how can we solve this problem? In that case, we have to have our own sign convention, and we will see what is the meaning of positive, whether current coming into the system is positive or leaving the system is positive. Accordingly, we have to decide, or maybe we have to accordingly decide based on the physics and our convention, and we go ahead from there. And we will do it in the class. More we do, more you will be, I think, clear about it. Yeah, see, it has just started. So, but it's good to ask, so, but always remember that there are two kinds of things, two different meaning. For example, in this case, there's a meaning of stress, and there's a meaning of force. Stress has meaning of this one. So this is, even if you're talking about the stress on the left hand side, if it is negative direction, on the right side your positive direction, still stress will be positive basically, right? So here what you see is we are talking about different, we are not talking about force, we are talking about the force system. We are, both of them we are talking about at the same time. Stress will not happen if you apply a force just here. You have to apply at the force at the other end as well in order to stretch it. Then only it will happen. Hence, when you're talking about stress, we are talking about a couple of both the forces together. And hence here, sign convention in this will be is tensile will be positive or compressive will be negative. But when you are talking just a force, just a force at a point, then this is positive and this is negative. This point force will be positive if in x direction, point force will be negative in when it is negative x direction. As far as your problem is concerned, always wherever it is positive direction, you write negative as positive. It is negative direction, you write negative. That's it, and you are good to go. Any other questions?
So one request I would like to make, if possible, like you said, if there are some electrical related examples, please take that also.
Yeah, sure.
like
Hmm.
how we apply this particular subject in the electrical domain. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that not exactly. I can actually, I mean, basically, if you send me the, say, differential equation, some electromagnetic and all those things, physics, I don't understand that. Okay, so I cannot explain unless, but if you give me just equation, then I can explain, okay, this is this equation, you know. But when it comes to just electrical and lay some circuit diagram, some resistance system, you know, and say a start delta configuration, for example, and then you have to find out the currents or voltage. So those kind of things we can do. The other examples, I don't know. If you send me some particular thing, then probably I can just explain in one of those classes, but not probably fully solve it. But as I told you, this and content also you can check. It is more about mechanical engineering because most of the students here are mechanical only. So heat transfer, structure, all those things are basically relevant. However, all mathematics basically, where finally it comes down to if I from physics you go to the mathematics and to solve it like mathematics, and then you for interpreting go back to physics basically. That's what you do. So what I will do here, you have to do the reduce the physics to mathematics, then we will discuss the mathematics in this class, and then you interpret your own in electrical terms. You understand?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah. So, or in one of these live classes, we can discuss, no problem. Yeah, you can say, more we go forward, more you will understand. Okay. So, I think it should not be a problem. Okay. But definitely, I will take electrical example. Yeah. So, that way also, I think this is also easy. Electromagnetics and all I cannot take because other students don't have any background in that. So, it will not be good. But resistance and all this in this Ohm's law is everybody knows. So Ohm's law I can take, and from there I can go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Okay. Fine.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Any?
I have a question, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any dimension barrier in FEM? Means, suppose we have a hypothetical spring having size near about 1 micrometer. Can we apply FEM on that spring?
Well, see here, finite element as such is mathematics, you know. So whatever equation you give, you can apply. But whether the physics is valid, that you have to look at. At 1 micron, whether you are actually talking about the physics, is the physics valid? If the physics valid, you give the equation, it will do. As such, there is no barrier on the size, because the thing is you are assuming it to be continuous. So basically, you are continuum assumption. You have the continuum assumption, from there you are going. Discrete assumption also we can do, like a spring is nothing but a discrete system only, it's not continuum. So what I'm saying is, physics, as long as it satisfies physics, no problem with applying it. Okay. Yeah, you got it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in lot of times what happens, if you go to nano level and then physics itself changes, your nature of force is not linear, for example, it could be non-linear. Yeah. So in that case, you have to apply non-linear theory then, non-linear finite element, not linear one. You got it? This one is only for solving the linear problems. Got it? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Linear problem is linear differential equation. Got it? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, in which platform you are going to share resources for the course?
Resources for the course. Which all things you want?
Like books, reference book, textbooks.
Textbook, I will not share. You have to find out.
Means the book which you refer to CS,
Yeah.
like that
So
book.
yeah. So those books, as I said earlier, just search on the way. You may find something, So, or you can talk to your friends if they have.
Yes, sir. Okay, and sir, have you created any, sir, Google Class or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. So you are not a part of that.
No, sir, I haven't received any mail also, sir.
Okay. So send me an email, okay? So typically it should not have happened,
Okay, sir.
because I try to whoever has have you registered?
Yes, sir, already registered, sir.
When did you register?
Sir, in I think 22 or 23 January.
Send me an email, okay? Then I will
Okay,
include.
sir.
So
Okay.
so everything is on Google classes only, and every announcement is made there only.
Okay, sir.
And you will find all the details there. Oh, okay. No wonder you are asking those questions.
Okay.
Okay. You send me an email, and then I will include you, and you can find all the things there.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. If there is no any other question, thank you very much, and we will again meet sometime. Most likely on Mondays. Okay, and then go from there. Okay, thank you, and
Thank
see
you,
you.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
you're welcome.